Welcome to Bridges and Silos. I'm your host, Dave Malinsky, and this is our first guest, Fred Cookinham. How you doing, Fred?
I'm okay. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. I want to make this show because I've met a lot of really fascinating people from all walks of life, and I want you to be the first one, Fred, because you're one of the first I met. We met in 2013, and why don't you tell us?
Was it 2013? I don't
It was 2013, definitely.
remember what year it was, but I remember where it was. It was at Francis Tavern, where we had both gone to hear a talk. I've lost count of how many talks I've been to at Francis Tavern, usually talks on the American Revolution. I meet all the authors, and I usually meet them twice because I'm also a member of the American Revolution Roundtable of New York, and we invite usually the same speakers. As soon as anybody writes a book about the American Revolution, he becomes a speaker at the Roundtable and usually at Francis Tavern too. And they just keep cranking out those books. I can't read them as fast as the authors write them.
And you're an author yourself. How many have you written?
6,
Wow.
I think. Working on a novel now, but I've written nonfiction, and I've even sold a couple.
That's always the game, isn't it?
I think that.
Yeah, we met doing American Revolution stuff. You're absolutely right about the books, by the way. Like, when I was even a teenager, I'd go to Barnes & Noble, and I would just browse the shelves. And they do put out so many books.
Yeah, you would think if you restrict your interest to just history and then you restrict it further to just the history of the American Revolution, you would think that you could keep on top of all the books, but they keep coming out with them. Somebody said once that there were a lot of failures of leadership on the American side in the War of 1812, and I forget who said this, but somebody said that it's as if nature had lavished so much talent on the revolutionary generation that there was none left over in the next generation that led the War of 1812. And there are so many interesting characters from the American Revolution that they can't all be famous at once. They kind of take turns. Now, for the past 10 years, it's obviously been Hamilton.
Yeah.
But I'm told that John Jay is going to get his turn.
Oh, boy. Well, there's John Jay College. So when I met you, I was promoting my one-man play on theater during the Revolutionary period. And the people who have written on that, it's very specialist. You'd think there'd be a crossover, but there really hasn't been. Most people are mainly interested in the military, maybe the economic, definitely the theoretical political. But that's what really made me want to make this show. Because no one really thinks of combining military history and theater history.
Well, that's what some say is what is the very definition of creativity, connecting two concepts that nobody's ever connected before.
Exactly. That's why it's bridges and silos.
Yeah, I don't quite understand your use of the word silo here. What do you mean?
Here's what I mean. People like siloing their information. It's like, oh, I just know this one area of knowledge, or especially, and I've noticed this very strongly. So I love history YouTubers. I think they're really doing some. There's a lot of slop, of course, but there are some people who are doing some very interesting things, and I'd be happy to recommend them. But then you talk to people who do history on TikTok. I have my problems with TikTok as a platform, but I was able to find a completely separate group of historians doing very interesting things. But the YouTube historians and the TikTok historians, they don't talk to each other. And they're both on innovative platforms. So that just goes to show. Those are the silos. And that's why I want to bridge those silos.
Yeah. And it's a problem today because we live in the age of specialization. Somebody once said we know more and more about less and less, and someday we'll know everything about nothing.
I think there's a lot to be said for that.
A philosophy professor, said that the way to success as a philosopher is to become the master of one little square inch of the whole field of philosophy, and make sure that your colleagues around the world know that you are the go-to man for that one little square inch. We really don't have any choice about having to live that way.
Yeah, specialization versus generalization. What's so fascinating about internet culture generally is that you can specialize or you can generalize. But just realizing that cultural expression exists in a particular time and place. And when you think about authors that speak to you, even like school books, like in your English class, you think, why did they pick these particular books? And obviously we're in completely different generations, and that's why I really want to explore. But a school board or a teacher picked those books, and then you have to read them.
Yeah. And you have no idea how many more books there are out there unless you haunt the public library like you and I do.
Yeah.
I read something somewhere about Immanuel Kant, the philosopher. He died in 1804, and somebody calculated that he may have been the last human being in the history of the world to know everything. Because it was around the time he died that the number of books and periodicals coming out every year passed the ability of even somebody with an IQ of 200, as he is said to have had, to master it all. You can't keep up with everything. And maybe he lived long enough, and if he didn't, maybe Thomas Jefferson realized by the time he died in 1826, I can't do it anymore. I can't keep up with everything. And people of that generation must have realized that from now on, mankind is living in the age of specialization, like it or not.
And then, of course, industrialization changes that too.
Yeah.
Because you've got, factory, like a spinning jenny or a mine, and hopefully you get enough capital to do something else with that. But then you've got, of course, the owners of those factories and mines. But even that was a product of historical action. Someone had to build them. Someone had to grow the farms. And
some of that industrialization was in the information industry, because it was around that time that hand presses gave way to steam-powered presses and then electric presses, and that meant more books, more periodicals produced and then put on trains and steamships and spread faster than ever before. And so we entered the age of information.
That so much can change in 100 years, in 150 years. So something that I've been really thinking about, about the Comstock laws, right?
Anthony Comstock?
And that one, Anthony Comstock.
Yeah.
Who really pushed the American censorship regime. And I'm just thinking, my generation, millennials, people born in like the late 80s, we have a memory of this cool new cultural thing comes out. And then all of the leadership, the religious leadership calls it satanic. The cultural leadership is, it's going to rot your brain. And you'd think over the past 150 years, this process would end. Because it started with jazz, with recorded music, with film, with the Hays Code, with the Comics Code Authority. I even have some of the primary sources used during the 1980s and 90s satanic panics. It's like trouble in the toy box. But, well, gosh, that's partially because of the toy industry. They were making all this money. I think it really started with George Lucas, with licensing. And then people were making their own licenses. But again, you grow up with this stuff. And you don't really think about that is a product of its time. And I'm wondering, you obviously came from a completely different generation from me. You might have a unique perspective there.
Well, I was born in 1954. And you were born in what year?
88.
88. Well, that is a pretty considerable gap.
Yeah.
These days, it wouldn't have been hundreds of years ago when life changed very little from generation to generation. But now, every 5 minutes, I can't understand what people are talking about on TV news. Now, sometimes Belen can explain things to me, but sometimes she's stumped too. Every 5 minutes, it's another neologism and another gizmo you have to learn how to use.
Yeah.
And that too, you just can't keep up with it.
New apps, new understanding. Yeah, how much things change. Mm-hmm. And what were you into as a kid? Do you even remember?
Oh, sure. And I'm remembering it a lot more now because on the internet I'm able to find things that I saw on TV or in the movies when I was 10. Like, for instance, a couple of years ago, Belen and I went through the whole TV series Lost in Space. We watched every episode. Now, that was 1964, 5, 6, I think. And it's real fun seeing something that you haven't seen in 40 or 50 years and that you remember only from the point of view of a child. Yeah. And in the case of Lost in Space, I'm watching Jonathan Harris as Dr. Smith, and I'm saying to myself, could he be any gayer? But when I was 10 years old in 1964, I didn't know from gay versus straight. He was just a funny character playing a funny role. So it's a lot of fun seeing stuff that you haven't seen in a lot of years. I'm finding documentaries and movies from the 50s and 60s that are available on the internet. There's a company called Periscope that collects old informational films from the 40s and 50s and 60s. Fascinating stuff to look at from now in the year 2026, the semi-quincentennial year of American independence.
There we go, 250.
Yep.
250 years. It's wild, man. I mean, if you want to, I do want to talk a bit about the how, because my big thing when I was a teenager was, going online and finding cool old stuff. Mm-hmm. Especially like military, historical music, all those marches from all over the world. And obviously, kids aren't stupid. A lot of people think they are, but they're not. They're curious. They want to find things out. And with the internet, time is flattened. That you can find anything. You can find silent films. You can find old TV shows. Yeah. And that's why, I mean, if you invest in any one streaming service, just do YouTube Premium. Yeah.
Here's another interesting aspect of that. Years ago, I read Bennett Cerf's memoirs, the founder of Random House Publishing.
Oh, wow.
And his generation was going through the same thing we're going through with television instead of the internet.
Yeah.
In the early 50s, when all the GIs had come back from the war and they were all moving out to the suburbs and they were all getting married and having kids and living the suburban lifestyle and buying their first television set. And Cerf says that the editorial writers were all kvetching about how kids are never going to read books again because they're all going to be glued to the TV screen. Cerf says, I disagreed. Kids are going to see so many things on the TV that they're going to be curious about some of them and want to read a book on that subject. And so he created Random House's All About series of children's books on all kinds of different subjects. And right after that, there was a movie called All About Eve, which I suppose they took the movie title from that series of children's books.
Oh, that's an interesting way of thinking about it.
And now we're going through the same thing with the internet. We have all the knowledge of mankind at our fingertips.
Literally at our fingertips.
And some of it will stick. Some of it, any given individual will be interested in and want to learn more about, and he can do so more easily than ever before.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing, mainly.
Yeah.
And we're worried about AI the way Bennett Cerf's generation worried about television.
Yeah, it's funny. I was always down with like the cool new thing. AI, I don't like it. Not that it doesn't have a use in like helping people find their voice if they didn't have it already. And as a voiceover guy, I'm like, oh, you're using AI voices? What? You can just pay a guy to do it. Sometimes they even do it for free. I understand like for images, but that's because I can't draw. I never bothered to learn to draw. But I guess it's all relative, isn't it?
Yeah, I never got into art either, being able to draw. And I suppose, well, AI is just another technology, and like any other technology, it can be used and it can be misused.
Yeah.
I'm wondering whether or AI and other technologies are going to get so advanced that there just won't be any place in the economy for live human beings anymore, and we'll all just be welfare cases. We will become the Eloi. H.G. Wells predicted this in 1898.
Yeah.
We're all going to be the Eloi. We're just going to sit around doing whatever we do to while away the empty hours while the Morlocks do all the work and then eat us.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the issue, isn't it? And all right. So, I have these three main big questions, but you might have a unique perspective on them. It's kind of like my breaking the ice sort of thing. Like three questions that kind of show who a person is. All right, question one. Most and least favorite Shakespeare play?
Data insufficient for a meaningful response. I'm not as much up on Shakespeare as I would like to be, but within my limited knowledge, my favorite Shakespeare play, well, how many times have I seen any one of them? Not that much.
Interesting. But you're really big on Gilbert and Sullivan.
Yeah.
All right. So that was what I was worried about. But I know with you it'd be interesting. Favorite and least favorite Gilbert and Sullivan musicals?
Again, I haven't seen enough of them to compare one with the other, but I'm thinking I haven't gotten into the Mikado all that much.
Interesting.
I say as I look at your samurai sword across the room.
And by the way, I got a ton of books in this apartment. So
yes.
A lot of American Revolution stuff. Like there's whole sections on that.
Okay, well, let's go back to Shakespeare then.
Sure.
I'm fairly familiar with Julius Caesar because we studied that in 10th grade, I think.
Interesting. We never did. We did Lear and Othello and Hamlet and Macbeth, obviously, but not Julius Caesar. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's a generational thing. Maybe it's just who the English teacher was.
Yeah. It was about that time that the Zeffirelli movie Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, I saw that.
And they bussed us all to the movie theater in downtown Syracuse, and we all saw that. That was funny because there were about 10 high school classes in this theater, all making noise as high school kids will do, until the nude scene when suddenly you could hear a pin drop.
Yeah, it was just a second. And so, we saw it in class, like, whoa! Well, I guess with most kids, they'd probably grow up, if they saw anything, with the, was it the Baz Luhrmann with Leo DiCaprio, which I never saw somehow.
I don't even know what that is.
Romeo plus Juliet with Leonardo DiCaprio? Really?
No.
Wow, okay.
No. I know there's a play on Broadway right now about what if Juliet had survived.
Yeah, and Juliet. It's like a playlist.
Yeah, that's an interesting spin-off.
Yeah.
So I knew the Zeffirelli film. I saw that. We had the record at home. So I'm fairly familiar with that play. When Belen and I were in London, we went to a performance of Cymbeline at the Globe.
Oh, yeah, the Globe is great. Did you guys sit or were you groundlings?
We had seats, but they were right next to the left side of the stage. So we couldn't even see the stage properly.
Oh, man.
For starters.
Yeah.
Secondly, instead of costumes, everybody wore a sort of unisex garment, so you couldn't even tell who was who.
Also, it was a modernist interpretive production.
Oh, yeah.
You picked the wrong one.
We sure did. Thirdly, it started raining.
Oh, no!
And there's a reason why they put roofs on theaters now since Shakespeare's time.
Yeah.
So we got wet. And then fourthly, sitting right behind us, there was a high school class full of kids from Italy.
Oh, wow.
All making noise.
Well, at least that's that's a story.
Well, we couldn't hear
Oh wow.
properly. We couldn't see properly. It was raining. The kids were making noise. It was. We gave up and walked out.
Yeah. No. Oh my
After the
gosh. You
so
should have told me.
we've
Said
had-
no. Pay the £5. It's okay. It's a unique experience. It's worth it.
We've had the experience of going to a play at the reconstruction of the globe. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Next.
Most people have a much better time. Wow.
Yeah.
So, what else did you see in London?
Oh, let me see. Well, we were there twice. The first time in 2001, just before we got married, we were there with the Village Light Opera Group, which was putting on a Gilbert and Sullivan show, The Gondoliers.
Oh, nice.
With in conjunction with a similar London group called the Philbeach Society.
Oh, cool.
That was another Gilbert and Sullivan group.
Nice.
And the stage wasn't big enough for two whole companies. So
Yeah.
Belen was in the show in the chorus, and she was dancing with her partner, but they were in the wings. You couldn't even see them because there were too many people on the stage. I got a chance to be assistant director, so I had to sit next to the director during rehearsals, taking notes, and then taking the notes around to people who were not usually happy to be given notes of direction by the director. But that was fun. And when we weren't rehearsing, we were seeing all the sights. We went to St. Paul's.
Oh, nice.
Mary Poppins. Early age
Oh,
day
that
on the
one.
steps
Yeah.
of St. Paul's, the little old bird woman comes.
All right. Yeah.
And this was
Wait, did you see Mary Poppins in theaters?
when it first came out in the 60s.
Everything was in theaters, and like TV was new. All right, so people my age, we grew up with Warner Brothers cartoons on TV.
Mm-hmm. Well, so did we.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm not that old.
Oh, okay.
Saturday morning was cartoon time.
Oh, okay.
First it was Popeye at
Right.
about 7 or 8 a.m. And then after that came the Warner Brothers, Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck and Elmer Fudd and Porky Pig and the Coyote.
Yeah, Wile E. Coyote.
and the
And
Robot.
apparently,
The
I
Robot.
found this out. Those started as a parody of Tom and Jerry.
Oh.
Yeah, the history of animation is fascinating. I'm going to use this as a segue to go into my second big open question. Mm-hmm. Favorite and least favorite Disney movie? That's going to be hard because obviously...
I certainly grew up on Disney movies.
Interesting.
40 Pounds of Trouble with Tony Curtis.
Oh, live
The
action.
Horse Master, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It didn't start with Pirates of the Caribbean. No, they were doing this stuff in the 50s.
The 50s and early 60s. Cartoons, Peter Pan. There was a Disney Peter Pan
Right.
in the 50s. And what else? In Search of the Castaways. That was a favorite of mine. That was in the early 60s.
Uh-huh.
Haley Mills and Maurice Chevalier.
Oh, wow.
They're in London, I think, or Paris or someplace, and Haley Mills plays a girl, and she has a brother. They're both 10 or 12, and they go to Maurice Chevalier, who is, I don't know what he is, like an explorer or something, and they say, "Can you help us find our father? He was lost in the South Seas somewhere."
Wow.
So they travel to South America. They witness an earthquake in the Andes. They see a giant condor. They see a water spout. They see a tidal wave.
Wow.
And then they find out they're in the wrong country. They shouldn't even be in South America.
Wow.
They find a clue. They're following clues to her father's whereabouts, and they find him on an island in the South Pacific infested with cannibals. So it's a great kids' adventure story.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
I remember that. I remember all the special effects. I remember the tidal wave and the water spout and the giant condor and all those things. That's what you live for when you're a little kid.
Yeah.
It was about 1960.
And that's all practical effects. They had to make those physically.
Yes, yeah. Now, one of my tour guide friends who has passed on, Michael Emmers, he got a degree in cinema.
Ooh.
And I learned a lot about movies from Michael. And he said that by the 1990s, the technical effects, the special effects were too good. Because when the special effects are perfect,
Yeah.
that kind of takes the fun out of it.
Yeah.
And you will see that if you see any of the 50s monster movies by Ray Harryhausen.
Oh,
He was the famous special effects man.
Right.
And you can see a giant squid crawling up the tower of the Golden Gate Bridge, and you can see his tentacles, and they look pretty convincing, but the motion isn't perfect. The motion is a little jerky,
Right.
but you say, okay, well, that's close enough. But by the 1990s in Jurassic Park, you just take it for granted that the dinosaurs are going to be absolutely perfectly convincing.
Yeah.
And so convincing that it, like I say, it kind of takes the fun out of it.
Yeah. It's I call it puppet and strings. So there's too much puppet, not enough strings. so like there's the magic of, oh wow, puppet show, it's real, versus, oh, here's how the puppet works. That's so cool. And something that I've seen, at least folks my age, is they're really into the strings. And what you're saying is right. Yeah, it's too good.
Yeah.
You can't piece
You
it
like
together
to see
yourself.
the strings sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, that's one good side effect of having such poor vision. I can't see the string. I've never seen a string in my life.
Well,
I've
there
seen
you go.
I grew up on the 50s. Well, you see, after the cartoons on Saturday morning at noon was a show called Monster Movie Matinee.
Ooh.
And that was the local Syracuse product. Later on, I saw on the Mike Douglas show, talk show on TV, he was interviewing a man named John Zackerley.
Uh-huh.
Does that name ring a bell?
No.
Well, apparently John Zackerley was the inventor of the Saturday Monster Movie show. And he was on television in Philadelphia, and then, as will so often happen, he was drawn away to New York by higher salaries.
Yeah.
And the kids who grew up in the New York City TV market grew up with John Zackerley being the monster of ceremonies of the Saturday morning monster movie.
And this is well before like Tales of the Crypt or like obviously Mystery Science Theater.
Circa 1960.
Yeah.
And so by
to
the
see
time-
New York TV exists in time. That's so amazing.
Yeah. And so in my case in Syracuse, New York, but in every TV market in the country, there was a local imitation of John Zackerley.
Local TV production might save TV. Do you think that's possible? Or it's all too concentrated and centralized?
I wouldn't know. You're asking the wrong guy.
I mean,
don't
it's
know
just
about
speculation, really.
that. Yeah, I don't know. Will TV survive? That's
Yeah, I'd be like, oh, TV. Well, look, you talk to Gen X and Boomers. They're like, no, of course, if it's on TV, it's true, and they're skeptical of the internet, which is wild to me. I mean, I understand it, but also, broadcast media, by its very nature, by being mass, has to have very being restrictive in terms of formats that you can fund it with commercial breaks, and the time is very structured. Whereas, internet media can be any sort of time, any sort of structure, and hopefully there are fewer content restrictions, although that changes.
Yeah, well, I remember, in the late 60s, now I mentioned Mike Douglas, another talk show of that time, or variety show, was Merv Griffin.
I've heard of that.
And I remember Merv Griffin and some guest on his show in the late 60s were they had just seen a dance routine, and it didn't seem very risque to me, but Merv Griffin and his guest were talking about 5 years ago we couldn't have broadcast that dance. It would have been too racy.
The change in broadcast standards.
Yeah, so that was the late 60s. Things were loosening up. And now on the internet, you can find a whole series of films called Hollywood Before the Code.
Oh yeah, I love that channel.
The early 30s, they were doing stuff in Hollywood movies that they couldn't do again after that for a few years.
And that begs the question. This is, I call it the dialectic between protection and play. The desire to do all sorts of cool, fun things, and then there's that voice with a finger in your face that says no. And that's Comstockery.
There's a little Anthony Comstock in all of us.
Well, no, I think you have to smash that because it adds no value.
No.
Because it's like, what value is there in restriction?
Yeah.
I mean, there's the Comstock, and there's the Carlin, the 7 words you can't say. It's like, why can't you say that?
Yeah. In my 72 years of life, I have seen a lot of people of my generation grow up and get married and have kids, and now all of a sudden they've turned into little Anthony Comstocks. People get very protective when it's their kids.
When they're kids.
Who are at risk.
It's like, where's the self-reflection? That's the question. But I guess if you go through family, like, they're so intense, how can people be self-reflective? Which leads to my third big open question. Who would you support in the French Revolution? The big questions. You were able to handle, I guess, one out of the three, maybe two. Let's see. You're laughing.
Who would I support in the French Revolution? Lafayette. Because there was a day, there was an hour when Lafayette looked like he might become the leading figure in that revolution and bring to France the freedom that he had helped bring to America.
Right.
Didn't work out. He was captured by the Austrians, and the power in the revolution passed on to Robespierre and others, and things got ugly. But and then it all led to Napoleon.
Yeah.
But there was a moment it could have gone the other way.
A constitutional monarchy.
Or something, as long as the state was reined in and didn't just get to kill anybody it felt like.
Right. That's big and important. You know, there's the coercive function, which maybe it's not even a function. Maybe it's just all just a scam. You know, say, hey, you give this guy, he's got a fancy golden hat, and he has the right to throw you in jail, beat you up. Because he protects you from the other circle hat guy who can beat you up.
Oh, yeah.
And that worked for maybe 1,000 years, from like the 900s to...
No, that's worked for at least 2,000 years that I know of, because that's the dodge that Julius Caesar used against Pompey.
There we go.
When Julius Caesar marched his army under arms across the Rubicon and into Italy, which was illegal,
right?
He said, I'm not usurping the Republic. Pompey and his army are already in Rome, and I'm going there to restore the Republic from Pompey's usurpation.
Yeah.
Now, the truth is, both Pompey and Caesar are probably both going to do much the same thing, namely set themselves up as dictators for life.
Yeah.
It happened to end up being Caesar, but it could have been Pompey just as well. We'd all be putting Pompey dressing on our salad.
Yeah, that's a way to think of it.
So one is probably just as bad as the other.
So I guess maybe, was it Plato or one of those two, Plato, about that cycle? You know, there's monarchy, oligarchy, democracy, and that goes in a circle.
I hadn't heard that theory, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, that so there's one guy in charge, and then there's a bunch of guys, and that's everyone. And this is too chaotic. Let's go back to the one guy. But obviously very simplified.
Yeah, that sort of thing can happen, but it doesn't matter. Whether it's one guy or a committee of 100, that's not the point. The point is, does that government follow the principle of natural rights, of the right of every human being to go about his peaceable business and do what he has to do as a human being to survive, which is to think, observe the facts, and think and act freely without being coerced.
Right, coercion. So is there a difference between natural rights and human rights?
There could be. Now, something that I've noticed in a lifetime of reading science fiction is that everybody uses the word sentient when they mean sapient. Sentient means having senses.
Right.
Sapient means having the ability to think on the abstract level. Now, Aristotle defined man as the animal that thinks. Well, I don't think he got that quite right, because you could say that any kind of animal thinks. If there's a brain and any kind of mental activity, even if only primitive activity, you could say that that animal is thinking. But you've got one thing that animal hasn't got.
Yeah.
And that is the ability to think in the abstract, to think, to conceive and not just perceive.
That's a good
to be able to think and express to another being in words abstract ideas. And because man has that ability, he has the ability to make agreements, contracts, laws, constitutions that people agree to be bound by, and even people 250 years later agree to be bound by if they seem like good laws.
Right.
We can do that because we have the ability to think on the abstract level. So that's what makes us human. Now, one time, many years ago, I used that as the theme for a science fiction story that I wrote about a boy who or a teenage boy who is overly obsessed with the media to the point where he's having trouble just remembering what is real and what is fiction. And this weakness of his is severely tested on the day that the Martians invade.
Oh,
and he's kind of saying, well, this is cool. This is just like a science fiction story. No, this is real. And it turns out that the Martians have gone the next step beyond conceptual thinking. They have gone to a third level. There's perceptual thinking, conceptual thinking. They have gone on to the next level. And human beings cannot conceive of that because it's above conception.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there is any such third level, but maybe some. That also makes me wonder about what happened to the first human being who, through, I guess, a mutation, an accident of birth, was the first one to reach this conceptual level.
Wow.
He must have had an awful time. Because nobody around him could understand what he's talking about.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Do you get that feeling talking to people regularly anyway?
Oh, yeah.
Ditto. Ditto.
Oh, yeah. All the time.
I mean, I don't really care much about the free will discussion. It's like you can gain free will by thinking. Maybe that's too simplistic.
You can gain free will by thinking.
Here's what I mean by that.
Okay.
So it's not that everyone has free will. Everyone theoretically has free will, but you have to exercise it. And if you do, it's like a muscle. If you don't do it, you just follow along whatever everyone else is doing. That's really it. I haven't really thought about it too deeply.
Yeah. How do you know if you have free will if you never exercise it?
Yeah.
It's the same thing in politics.
Yeah.
You have a government has only as much power as it exercises regularly and gets away with.
Yeah.
And the individual has only as much freedom as he exercises regularly and gets away with.
Yeah.
And sometimes people in a totalitarian state have more freedom than they know. There's a funny story about that. Hedrick Smith wrote a book called The Russians after his stint as New York Times Moscow bureau chief. And
Right.
wrote a whole book about his impressions
Yeah.
of the Soviet Union in the 1970s when he was there. And he found, and others have found, that in Russia, the farther you are from Moscow, the looser the control.
That makes sense. Yeah.
That was true under the czars, and it was true under the communists.
Yeah.
So one time, Smith says he was in his office in Moscow, and he called up the mayor of Yakutsk.
Yeah.
Now, Yakutsk is a big city, but it's in the middle of nowhere. There's nobody around it for hundreds of miles out in Siberia.
Yeah.
And it's 3,000 miles or more from Moscow.
Yeah.
And Smith he called up the mayor of Yakutsk, and he said, I'd like to come out to Yakutsk to cover your May Day celebration and parade. And the mayor said, I wish you wouldn't do that, Comrade Smith. Why? Because if you come out to cover our May Day parade, that means that we would have to have one.
Yeah.
So even in a totalitarian state,
Right.
sometimes when the cat's away, the mice will play. And if you're out in Siberia, nobody knows or cares what you do out there.
Yeah.
That's why I understand a lot of outlaws go to Alaska for the same reason.
That makes sense. Yeah. Well, it's funny. I think we're like in the days we are living in now. I think the outlaw energy is like really resurfacing. Maybe you've noticed that. In a way that hasn't existed in the past, at least the past few decades.
I'm very reluctant to make generalizations.
That's sensible.
And the older I get, the more wary I am of generalizations of any kind.
Yeah,
because you know what they say, every generalization is wrong.
Exactly.
Including this one.
Yeah, of course, 100%.
No, only 99%.
There we go. If I make them, they're all right. So, talking about sci-fi, who are some of your favorite sci-fi authors?
Okay. Uh, I am an unabashed classicist. I like to read Robert Heinlein, Isaac Asimov,
Yeah.
the golden age of science fiction writers, probably for the same reason that I'm also an unabashed classical music war horse fan. Give me the 1812 overture, and I'm happy.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and this is an experience I've had all my life. I've always been impatient with people who have to follow the crowd,
Yeah.
who follow every stupid fad.
Yeah.
And I never liked teenagers for this reason, either before, during, or since the time I was one myself.
Right. That need to conform.
That need to, yeah. And the funny thing is, when you're a teenager, you go through your adolescent rebellion period, where your attitude is, I want to be a nonconformist like all my friends.
Yeah. There we go.
And somebody put on this is about 20 years ago, somebody put on a concert of the songs of Ivor Novello. You know that name?
That name sounds familiar.
He was a friend of Noel Coward's.
Oh.
He was the guy who, as a teenager, during World War I, wrote the song "Keep the Home Fires Burning." But he had a whole career, lived into the 1950s, and he wrote a lot of songs. And somebody was doing a concert of them. Some of the people that Belen knows through the Village Light Opera Group were singing these Ivor Novello songs, and they sounded a lot like Noel Coward songs, and I'm a Noel Coward fan. And the MC of the show said this was what popular music was going through in the teens, 20s, 30s, when it kind of got obliterated by the rise of jazz and boogie woogie, and then rock and roll after that.
And now boogie woogie, hardly anyone knows what that is.
Yeah, I'm a little thin on that myself, but it was in the 40s.
Oh. So is it like a big band sort of thing?
Something like that. Yeah, my parents grew up on big band music. But Ivor Novello's, it was an old-fashioned, to us sounding, old-fashioned, lush, romantic love songs that would sound very old-fashioned to us, or to the rock and rollers of the 60s.
Yeah, but now you got classic rock people.
But it makes you wonder what else is out there that we don't even know about because it just got forgotten.
Well,
whether in music or in literature or science fiction or anything else.
Well, from a music perspective, apparently it's like a surf rock revival. So this was like 50s and 60s, like the Beach Boys, but that was a whole genre. I think there's a bar, Otto's Shrunken Head. They focus. that which sounds great. They focus on surf rock.
Now, I didn't know about that. Surf rock coming back. Well, it's like they say, never throw anything out because it'll come back into fashion.
Exactly. Time might not be a circle, but interests certainly are.
Yeah. So I've always liked striking out on my own and finding what things that I like and not things that are spoon-fed to me by the media.
There we go.
So I grew up, as a teenager, I was exploring classical music. And at the same time, in early 1967, the Smothers Brothers had a variety show on CBS, and they had Ravi Shankar on the show.
Who is that?
He played the sitar. He was the top sitar player.
Oh, yeah.
I had never had any knowledge that there was such a thing as Indian music. This was all completely new to me, and I fell in love with it. I just liked the sound of the sitar and the other Indian musics and the raga form. So I bought records and tapes and CDs from that day to this. So that was another, it couldn't be more different from classical European music, but I liked it.
Yeah.
And I discovered it. It was something that I found, and it wasn't something fed to me. Now, when I was from the ages of 5 to 18 or something, I had to share a bedroom with my older brother, Rob.
Oh, yeah.
He was 7 years older than I was. So he had his clock radio tuned to the local Syracuse Top 40 station. Oof. WNDR, dial 1260. And so I had to, like it or not, listen to the morning show. And so I heard the Beatles and all the other pop top 40 songs of the 60s.
Yeah.
And I like some of them. I like a lot of them now, but it's mainly because of nostalgia.
Yeah.
More than any intrinsic worth
Right.
of them. Some of them are better than others. I happen to end up liking the Mamas and the Papas a lot. And my friend Lou, who was exploring classical music with me at the same time, he ended up being a fan of Seals and Crofts. So
Who was that?
That
Seals
was
and Crofts?
Seals and Crofts were a duo who sang in harmony in the late 60s, early 70s.
Huh. That's cool. And it was all on these records, these wax records.
Yes. Well, not wax.
Not wax.
No, that was Thomas Edison.
Oh, yeah, no, you're right.
Vinyl.
Thank you, vinyl.
Yeah.
And now that's coming back. All that's just coming back. Like, I saw YouTube videos of guys with sitars doing all sorts of cool stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's... now, Ravi Shankar became a friend of George Harrison of the Beatles.
Oh.
And they produced a record together, which you can listen to for free online now. It's called Shankar Family and Friends.
Huh.
And you hear mostly Indian music, but there's a little bit of input from George Harrison there too, I think, or some Western
neat.
music. And the movie Gandhi, which came out in 1982,
Right.
Richard Attenborough, the director, teamed up Ravi Shankar with a British composer named George Fenton, I think was his name. And they had to work out a movie score that would use both Indian music and Western orchestral music. And they came up with some good stuff. And in the 60s already, you know the name Yehudi Menuhin?
That name sounds somewhat familiar.
He was a famous violinist in the 60s, 40s, 50s, 60s. And he cut a record with Ravi Shankar, with Shankar playing the sitar and Yehudi Menuhin playing along on a violin.
Oh, cool.
It was, I think the record was called East Meets West.
Nice.
So there are always people exploring different new combinations of things. Sometimes it works out better than others, but
Absolutely.
but it's nice to see people experimenting.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a good note to end on. And we can definitely do this again. But the idea of combining from things no one really would think of, that makes really wonderful things. So this was Bridges and Silos. I'm your host, Dave Malinsky. This is our first guest, Fred Cookinham. I'm sure you'll be back, and I'm sure all of you will be back. Have a lovely rest of your day.